And welcome to another Live Safe Tool video. In this video, we're going to present the Explore Data tab of the LIS Online platform. So Explore Data is meant to be a place that users can go in order to examine and explore all of the data that is available in LIS and that LIS uses to make the estimates and the calculations. So the first thing to do will be to click on Explore and then select your country of interest. For example, today we're going to do Burkina Faso. It takes the platform a few seconds to communicate with the server in order to retrieve all of the relevant information for Burkina Faso. So you can see here we have our country pulled up. If you would like to do another country or to focus in on another country, you can do so by pulling up this drop-down menu and selecting your other country. You'll see here that you can select one of multiple different topics that you could explore, namely cause of death, health and nutrition, intervention coverage, and finally effectiveness values. All of these are things that, once again, LIS uses to calculate what the estimates will be in terms of mortality and nutrition outcomes. And then you can also select or deselect whatever outcome you are interested in. So for our example today, we're going to focus on child mortality. Once we've selected this, we can select Create a Display, and the platform will pop up with some information that we have here. You can tell by the legend we have our under 5 mortality rate because we selected our child 1 to 59 month mortality. And we have it going down over the course of the period of time that we've selected. If we wanted to focus in on a different period of time, we could move this ball down here so that it only looks at our years of interest. So in this case, I'm choosing to focus on the years between 2005 to 2015 for no particular reason other than to just illustrate in this example. You'll see that you have the causes of death listed up here. When you hover over them, you can also see them represented in the graph below. If you want to have more detail as to the exact percentage being represented, you can hover over the bar itself and it will tell you what that value is. We can see here that in Burkina Faso, for example, most of the child deaths are attributed to malaria, or rather malaria is the biggest cause of death in children under 5. And that's pretty consistent over our whole time period. If you want to know where these data are coming from, you can go up here to this icon and you'll be able to see that these are data that are being calculated from the WHO estimates. If you wanted to see a different presentation, you can select the table icon over here, and then all of this will be available to you in table form. If you wanted to take this somewhere else and do some more analyses with it, you can download it using the download icon, and you'll see it down here as an Excel form or Excel document. Or if you wanted to download the image, you can download this exact image as a PNG down here. Moving on to health and nutrition. Here you have the baseline health status for multiple different categories. And essentially, these are some of the baseline data that LIS uses to do a lot of its different calculations. Moving on to intervention coverage. Since we've been focusing on child, let's go ahead and select child down here. If I had a particular intervention in mind, I can type it in here. And I see that my ITN and IRS, given that we know that malaria is a big cause of death in Burkina Faso, I want to select ITN IRS down here. If I did not want to use the search function, I can also click down over here and expand all these categories and select the interventions of interest. For example, today we're going to stick with just ITN IRS, and once again we can create a display. You'll see here that in the table we don't have data for all of the years, and this is because of data availability. So if you go into, once again, your source icon, you can see that we have data coming from the 2003 DHS, 2006 mix, 2010 DHS, 2014 MIS, and 2017-2018 MIS. You can also see this in graph form, but given that there's gaps in the data, it isn't necessarily the best representation for this data. Moving on now to effectiveness values. We have multiple different options that can be selected here. Either the effectiveness of the interventions themselves, the effectiveness of the intervention on the incidence of diarrhea, for example. For vaccines, we have some data for herd effectiveness. We have the effectiveness of the nutrition interventions, and then finally the general impact of undernutrition. So we were looking at ITNs, and we're going to go back and select our child outcomes. And we know that ITNs has an impact on malaria. So we're going to go ahead and select malaria, create our display. We can see here the effectiveness of the intervention. The affected fraction will be 1, meaning all children 1 to 5 months are included in our affected fraction. Once again, if we wanted to know where these data are coming from, we can see that information over here. We'll also see 2 other interventions come up because these 3 interventions are the 3 that have an effect on malaria within lists. So you'll have the malaria vaccine pop up, and you'll also have ACTs as an option. So in short, Explore Data allows users to really dig in and see where the background information is coming from in terms of everything that's being used to calculate the estimates in lists. Hope this was helpful.